explain a little bit more about that. And Leslie, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you so much for guiding us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So real quick on that link is for my teacher's nonprofit organization, Yoga Medicine Save a Foundation. We were helping these women rehabilitate back into normal life, but then the pandemic has hit, and now we've kind of switched our resources to helping these girls stay protected and stay safe and get the resources that they need. So super important, because again, the money gets there. It's very rare that you have a connection to something personal like this. So if you want to contribute, you can, but we're happy to bring this to you guys for free, because it's just an awesome community, and that you want to come to the mat is like, there's nothing better for a yoga teacher than to hear that. So when you're ready, make sure you have a ball, blanket, blocks, and maybe even a bolster for Shavasana. And we're going to start to warm up through the spine. We're going to do a knee strengthening class today. So we're going to focus on the posterior chain of the leg and hopefully get some understanding of it along the way. So from all fours, we're going to take some gentle movements through the spine, through some cat-cows. So I like to tuck my toes, but you're welcome to do whatever. Some contact through the calves at the least. Inhale, put a lift in the tailbone and start to drop one vertebrae at a time down towards the floor. Like it's softening like a hammock. I'm not forcing it down. Take the heart past the hands at the peak of that inhale. And then as you exhale, feet go flat, sit bones roll under. You're headed towards a Halloween cat shape. Just let the head drop and let the spine move effortlessly. So don't crank it, really be sweet and be with each vertebra if you can. Inhale, tuck the toes, lift the tailbone. Trying to bring your presence to each vertebra as you make your way out, almost like they're their own chakras. Dropping the heart, floating the heart forward. Exhale, feet go flat, sit bones roll under. Halloween cat. The spine is buoyant, it's moving through water, so it doesn't have to move sharply in one direction or another. Last time, inhale, tuck the toes, lift the tailbone, dropping through the spine, clawing at the floor, try not to dump through the wrists here. Exhale, feet go flat, sit bones roll under, lifting the spine, dropping the head. As you inhale, we'll come into a neutral spine tabletop. So I'm going to tuck my toes, root my pubic bone towards my face, cinch in around the waist, and then a slight protraction of my shoulder blades. I don't want to just lock out my arms and then think about my shoulder blades coming together. I'm dumping into my wrist there. So a little bend in the elbows, protraction of the shoulder blades, feel that lightness in the hands that you're not just dumping, and we're going to walk that over to the right, keeping that lightness and keeping that zipped up Tadasana torso. Inhale, retract the shoulder blades, bring them together and squeeze them forward towards the ears. Exhale, protract them, take them apart and squeeze them back towards the tailbone. Inhale, up and together, squeeze them forward towards the ears, keep clawing at the ground. Exhale, down and apart, squeeze them apart, back towards the tailbone. One more, inhale, up and together, squeeze, bring it forward towards the ears. Exhale, down and apart, squeeze, take them apart, back towards the tailbone. Inhale, back through center, through those slightly protracted shoulder blades, a nice zipped up torso. Exhale, we're gonna walk it over to our left. Keeping that pubic bone rooted towards the face, just not exaggerated. Inhale the shoulder blades together, squeeze them back towards the tailbone. Exhale, down and apart, squeeze them forward towards the ears. Inhale, together, they retract, squeeze them back towards the tailbone. Exhale, they protract, squeeze them apart and forward towards the ears. Last one, inhale, up and together, claw at the ground, back towards the tailbone. Exhale, down and apart, squeeze them apart, forward towards the ears. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, knees go wide. Stretch the hips back, lengthen the spine forward. Everything's still pretty light and buoyant, like you're in the water doing this. Exhale over to your right. So in yoga, you're going to hear a lot about the bandhas. That's what keeps you zipped up, feeling like you have a corset, but more like, for me, it's more like I'm swimming. When you're swimming, there has to be a quality of air in the diaphragm, otherwise you sink. And that's that feeling of lightness in the body. So trying to stay within that tension system. And so it's kind. Inhale back through center. Find space between each vertebra as you lengthen through center. Exhale, take that space with you without filling it as you take it over to the left. Dropping the head onto the left bicep or wherever it feels comfortable. Dropping that right hip back, but feeling that detox on the left side of the torso where the thigh meets the belly. And trying to lean into that. It's a fine line to push and to lean, so find a softness. Inhale, back through center. Exhale up into all fours. Let's warm up our wrists really quickly because I have some plans for some vinyasas for us. So we're going to bring the hands close to the knees, and I'm going to make some circles around my wrists. Just 3 in each direction. We're just going to go for a quick little warm up, and then opposite direction. So there's still a kind rhythm to it. We're just not going to go really slow with it. Next time you inhale, come back to a static position. I'm going to lift the bones of my hand, not my fingers. So if I'm looking down at my hand, the bones of my hand are going to try to lift up. So it's an impossibility. And I'm going to leave my fingers down on the ground. So there's a very active eccentric contraction going on the muscles. And you can feel it on the top part of your forearm. So if you don't feel something, there's something missing. Soften, let that go. And we're going to take the hands from this position towards seal pose or greater. So you don't have to take the fingers all the way back towards you. It's about what feels good in your body. And we're going to make some circles around the wrists. I will say it's super dope to see familiar faces on here because it is kind of like a virtual yoga studio, opposite direction. And that's really rad. Like I feel like I need to see Ruby, or it's like not a proper teaching day for me. Static position, we're going to lift the bones of the hand towards the upper forearm, softening the fingers. I'm sure Lee will hook me up with a little visual of Ruby before we leave. No doubt about it. Keep lifting the bones of the hand. Keep protracting the shoulder blades. So I'm still light on the wrist, believe it or not. And then coming off of there, I'm going to take my arms internally. So going for an internal rotation, not because we do that a lot in yoga, but it is a rotation in the arm. So use it or lose it. And we're going to make some circles around the wrist. And I'm clawing at the ground. I'm not dumping into my wrist ever. Those little bones, my metacarpals, opposite direction that we call a wrist. Trying to stay light. So keep those shoulder blades protracted, a little slight micro bend in the elbow. You should be light on the wrist. Static position, lift the bones of the hand. Fingers stay down. One of my favorite warm-ups taught to me by Dicey. Super rad class on Venice Beach during the pandemic at some point. So it was like super empty, super rad. Static position, come off of there. And now we're going to go palms facing up. So flexing my wrist down. So when I look down, I can look at the pits of my hands. I want to make circles around my wrist. And my wrist will come up off the ground. I'm not going to crank this. As I come to the bottom part of my circle, my wrist lifts. And as I come to the top of the circle, my wrist comes down. Opposite direction. And then as I make my way back to the bottom of the circle, my wrist comes back up. So I'm not dictating to my body what it's going to do. I'm letting it be soft. And I'm trying to get real-time feedback from my body. Static position, lifting the pit of the hand towards the forearm, leaving the fingers, the phalanges on the ground. Lifting the bones of the hand. And if you do it right, you can see that little crease in the wrist there that some of the teachers call the butt crack of the wrist. When you have it just right, you can stick your pinky, the tip of your pinky, and it won't be crushing the wrist. Coming off, shake out the wrist there. Now we're going to start to move. So I'm going to stretch my hands forward towards a child's pose. I'm going to have my toes tucked under. I want to go for a little hip mobility here. So I might even inch my hands a wee bit closer than my child's pose. And I'm going to pick my knees up. My heels might not make it down, but I'm going to pick my knees up. And then exhale, I'm going to set my knees back down. Inhale, I'm going to pick my knees up. I should feel this in my hips. Exhale, set my knees down. Inhale, lift the knees up. Trying to drop through the heels. Feel the back line of the legs. Exhale, set the knees down. Last time. Inhale, we're going to lift the knees up. And this time we're going to lift the hips up. And as you exhale, you're going to find a downward facing dog. So it's a very functional way of finding your way into a downward facing dog, keeping the spine nice and long and putting a little bit of mobility in there into the mix. We're going to take the top of the right foot onto the mat and drop the heel of the left foot past the ball of the left foot. So I'm stretching the top of my right foot and the back of my left leg. I also want to keep my hips in line with my ankles. So if you're sassing your hip out to the left or hips out to the right, hug the hips in towards each other. Hug the sit bones towards each other. And then we're going to switch. You're welcome to come down onto the forearms at any point if your down dog starts to become really exhausting. It is a resting pose, so make it something like a resting pose. Top of the left foot getting a stretch, back of the right leg getting a stretch. Drop the right heel past the ball of the right foot. If you don't feel it, think about picking up the ball of your right foot, trying to touch your right kneecap with your right foot. Hugging your hips in, softening those shoulders away from the ears, a little micro bend in the elbows. Think about hugging the elbows in towards each other. Get the lats in on the action. Back to downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees to look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the front of the mat. We're going to meet in a standing forward fold, Uttanasana. 2 fists between the feet. Make sure you're hip width apart. Inhale, let's lengthen. Ardha Uttanasana. Nice and long in the spine. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. As you inhale, bend the knees, drop the hips, Utkatasana, fierce pose. I'm going to take my arms up past my ears if I can. That's going to make you want to have a Beyonce back. See if you can get some Michael Jackson in the kidneys there and in the pelvis. And think about those arms reaching back behind you. Keep that as you exhale, lateral stretch to your right. Think about turning the torso to the left and committing to that Michael Jackson so you get a nice stretch on the left side. QL should be delicious. Inhale, back up. Exhale, left arm comes down, lateral stretch to your left. Rotate the torso to the right. Heel that right elbow back and Michael Jackson in the pelvis. So you feel that right QL, maybe even right psoas. Inhale, back up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, let's lengthen. Flat back rise. Exhale, plant the hands and step your right leg back for a low lunge. Turn the right leg in, set it down. So we're going to stay low. I want you to feel the action that's going on in the front leg. Imagine there's a ball behind your left knee. You're trying to close your knees, but your left foot is super glued, but you're trying to close your left knee. Keep that and you're going to corkscrew, turning your left foot in a clockwise direction. So there's a closing of the knee and there's also AB deduction going on with the outer hip. So feel your outer hip firing off. Keep that. You're going to hover your fingers through that action. Close the knee, corkscrew the leg. From there, close the knee, hover the torso. Next time you inhale, close the knee, come all the way up. Arms can float up if that's okay. Dropping the left hip down. Bringing that right hip up. Shoulder blades stay slightly protracted. That feeling of hugging the rib cage with the shoulder blades. And the left knee is still closing. I'm still closing the knee. I'm still corkscrewing the leg. There's a lot going on with the legs and it's strengthen the knee day. So that's your focus. Let all of your focus be on what's going on in the legs. Exhale, I'm going to windmill to frame the foot. I'm going to close this left leg and corkscrew my right leg towards straight. As you exhale, close your left knee and step your right leg forward. Should be in a left hip buster. 2 fists between the feet, hip width apart. Inhale, let's lengthen, flat back rise. Exhale, let's fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up through some bent knees if your hamstrings aren't warmed up yet. Arms come up, shoulders stay relaxed away from the ears. Exhale, hands at the heart. Find your Tadasana. Inhale, float those arms up. So legs are constantly corkscrewing into the ground and AB deducting. Exhale, forward fold. Feel the closing of the knees here. Inhale, lengthen, flat back rise. Exhale, step the left leg back, please, for a low lunge. We're going to turn that left leg in and set it down. Stay low. We're going to close the right knee and corkscrew the right leg in a counterclockwise direction from the head of my femur, not from my foot or my knee. I'm going to hover my fingers through that. Keep closing the knee and corkscrew, hover the torso, close the knee. Come on up as you inhale. Arms can come up if that's okay. Right hip goes down, left hip goes up. Cinching it around the waist. But number one is that right knee closing and that right foot corkscrewing from the hip in a counterclockwise direction. Feel that AB deduction. Legs should be working. It shouldn't be the top part of my legs, my quads that I'm feeling. It should be my hamstring. So close the knee. Don't push the foot away. As you exhale, we're going to windmill, frame the foot, close the right knee. We're going to inhale that left leg towards straight. Exhale, close the right knee. Through that, I'm going to step my left leg forward. Last time you're checking, 2 fists between your feet, hip width apart. Inhale, lengthen. Third time's the charm usually with that one. Exhale, forward fold. Remember, bend of the knees is your friend. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up through some bent knees or not. Keep those shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Exhale, hands at the heart. Shoulder blades stay slightly protracted. As you inhale, sweep the arms up. Nice and relaxed, passive tension system. Exhale, forward fold. I'm not making this extremely difficult. I'm operating at 40%. Inhale to lengthen, flat back rise. Exhale, step it back into a push-up position. We're going to lower the knees down so that right from my push-up, I'm just going to lower the knees down. So they're not going to be right underneath my hips. Keeping the arms straight with just a little slight micro bend. Micro bend's okay. We're going to just move the shoulder blades. So as you inhale, we're going to retract the shoulder blades all the way together for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, move them apart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, slowly bring them together. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, slowly take them apart. 2, 3, 4, 5. As you inhale, find somewhere between the two. So what you're going to feel is a slight protraction of the shoulder blades to make your shoulder blades hug onto your back, and your elbows will bend as a result. Keep that as you exhale. Lift the elbows up towards the ceiling. Lift your elbows to come down. Maybe your palms come up off the ground. Landing in a baby cobra as you inhale, stay there or go deeper into your baby cobra. And as you exhale, back through a child's pose. Lead with your kidneys and not your bum if you can. Inhale, brings you forward all fours. How long can your spine get? How long can your body get? Exhale, downward facing dog, leading with the kidneys, not the bum. All right, taking a couple breaths here. Remember, you can rest in a child's pose and take a water break whenever you need to. If you're in downward facing dog, think about hugging those elbows towards each other and that slight protraction of the shoulder blades. Remember the corkscrewing that's going on through the legs, right femur corkscrewing in a counterclockwise direction, left femur corkscrewing in a clockwise direction. As you inhale, let's float the right leg up, please. Ekapada. Move that left hip back towards the wall behind you. Turn that right leg bone all the way in, like you're trying to pigeon toe your right foot. And then exhale, bring it forward, knee to chest plank pose, holding for 3. Knee to left armpit. 2, knee to right armpit. 1, knee to center. Exhale, plant it for a low lunge. I'm going to turn my left leg in and set it down. All right, for this one, we're going to bring that right heel in a bit. And I'm going to come forward so that my knee goes past my ankle. And before you freak out, just passively go into it and I'll tell you all about it. So I can either put a block underneath my hand if the floor is too far away from me. And I can lift the heel of my right foot too if my calf or my hamstrings are too tight. But what I'm trying to do is drop through my Achilles, drop through the heel, lengthen through the calves, feel that in the hamstrings. And just so you know, anatomically, it's okay for your front knee to be past your front ankle when the back femur is lower than your hip. I'm completely safe. Nothing's going to happen to me here. The stronger your knees are, actually, the more you can do things like this with your back leg up. But you know, that's for
a more intermediate conversation about knee strength. But for now, just so you know, I'm building knee strength by doing this, lengthening the back line of my leg, and it's completely safe. My back leg is on the ground. I know a lot of traditional yogis kind of gasp at the sight of it. As you exhale, we're gonna come out of that right knee bend just a bit so that I can close my right knee and step my left leg next to my right. So it's important I'm not pushing through my right foot, but that I'm pulling through my right foot. Inhale, lengthen, flat back, rise. Exhale to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, do a soft bend in the knees. Don't just yank on the hamstrings, please. And as you exhale, you're gonna dive right back in. Tummy to thigh is the feeling there. Trying to marry the tummy to my thigh. Inhale, lengthen, flat back, rise. Exhale, step your right leg back, please, for a low lunge. We're gonna turn the right leg in and set it down. I'm gonna take my left heel, I'm gonna scooch it a bit closer to me so that I can take my knee past my ankle. And again, I might bring a block so that I can put my hands on. If I feel strong, I can put my hands on my hips. But I'm still aiming to drop my left hip down and wrap that left hip back and closing my left knee. That never stops. I'm closing the left knee and I'm dropping the weight of my whole leg through my left heel so that Achilles feels great, the calf feels great. And if you just take your awareness to your heel, then your Achilles, and then your calves, they'll start to soften and it'll be really sweet. And that's as sweet as the communication usually is with the muscles. They're really happy to let things go once you give them that one-on-one attention. Last couple breaths. I don't want to crunch into my front hip flexor. So if I have pain on my front hip, I might want to back out a little bit from torso to thigh, not necessarily heel to bum. And then as I exhale, I'm going to round out and come out enough so that I can close my left knee and step it forward into a standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, flat back, rise. Exhale to fold. Inhale, bend the knees, drop the hips, Uttanasana, arms are gonna come up. Exhale, dropping the right arm to the right, lateral stretch. Think about picking up your heels, trying to touch your heels to your bum. Inhale, come on back up, still closing my knees. Exhale, lateral stretch to the left. People let it go and they push through the feet and bend their knees. You've got to close your knees to bend the knees. Inhale, back up. Exhale, forward fold. It's subtle, it's tedious, it's exhausting. You just got to do it a little bit at a time. Inhale, lengthen, fire off at 40%. Exhale, take it back. Lowering the knees onto the blanket. If you feel like you need more, you can keep the legs straight. Inhale, retracting shoulder blades for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, protract. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale together. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale apart. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. Inhale together. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale apart. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale somewhere between the two. Protracting the shoulder blades slightly, elbows bent slightly. Keep that. Just exhale, lift the elbows. So I can keep my shoulder blades where they are without affecting them by bending my elbows. Inhale there or deeper into a cobra. Exhale, child's pose, leading from your kidneys. Hands stay glued, spine stays long. Inhale, all four. See how far you can get your heart forward, how much helium you can get between each vertebra. Exhale, take that helium with you into downward facing dog, leading with the kidneys. All right, floating the left leg up, please. Ekapada, wrapping that right hip back towards the wall behind you. Rotating the left leg all the way in so that it feels like you're trying to pigeon toe from the top of your femur. And then exhale, knee into chest, plank pose. We're gonna hold for 3, knee to right armpit. 2, knee to left armpit. 1, knee to center. Exhale, planted for a low lunge. Right leg turns in, set it down. All right, so we're gonna come back into this closing of the knee position where my knee is gonna be past my ankle. And I'm either stay here or I'm going to bring my hands forward. And what I want to think about is this back leg is going to plug into the socket. So I want to think about hugging all of my limbs in towards center or towards my brain is the cue that I like to use. So I'm going to come forward onto the ball of my left foot and then come forward and plug my right leg into the socket. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, rotating it in, 2, 1, and then we'll set it down and we'll come back into a runner's lunge. So I might bring a block in or underneath my hands. I might rest my forearms on that block. Just hug your right hip in over your right knee. Make sure that it's not behind your right knee either, but in front of it. You can bend your left knee and point through the toes if it's too much of a stretch. And then as you inhale, we'll close the left knee. We're going to bring our hands forward. You have the option to step your right leg forward and step your left leg back, or it's going to be a hop switch. So I'm going to hop and switch. So it's your choice. Step it forward, step it back, or hop switch. Turning the left leg in, setting it down. I'm going to close my right knee a bit so that I can take my knee past my heel. And then I might stay here, or I'm going to come into that variation of mobility, coming onto the ball of my right foot. Fingers come forward, they could be flat, they could be tented. And I'm going to come forward and catch my left leg, just plug it into the socket and hold it there for 5, 4, rotating it in, 2, 1, and then we'll set it down, runner's lunge. So I might scoot my right foot forward for the leg that's looser because I don't want my left hip behind my left knee. And I don't want my left hip to the left of my left knee. I want it right on top of my left knee or slightly in front of it, but certainly not to the left and not behind it. Pointing through the toes of my right foot and bending my knee slightly, if that helps soften up my hamstring. When it comes to hamstring lengthening, you don't want to feel a yanking on the hamstrings, especially on the ischial tuberosities or sit bones or the knees, the outer knees. What I want to feel is my back lengthening, my hips lengthening, and the belly of my hamstring lengthening. That's how I know I'm lengthening my hamstrings in a really safe way and in a way that's serving my hamstrings and not depleting them. The hamstrings are an important part of knee strength, so we got to take care of those bad boys. Deep hamstrings are mostly connective tissue, so they don't have their own blood supply. Closing the right knee. Just to make it even, you're going to step it forward, step it back, or hop switch. And then we're going to step it forward, closing the left knee into a standing forward fold. Slight bend in the knees. Inhale, lengthen, flat back rise. Uttanasana, grow long. Exhale, forward fold. Continue corkscrewing. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. And exhale, hands apart. All right, we're gonna do a little bit standing up here. So I'm gonna take my blanket, and if you don't have a blanket, hopefully you can find like a towel, go run to your restroom, grab a towel or something. So I've got my folded blanket in Uttanasana there. And I've got the folded edge, not the fringe side, closer to me. And I'm gonna take the balls of my feet onto the mat and the heels of my feet off of my mat. Corkscrewing through the legs. They're super glued. Again, right femur corkscrewing counterclockwise, left femur corkscrewing clockwise. Rooting the pubic bone towards the face, cinching in around the waist. So it's very subtle in my pelvis. I'm not going to exaggerate it. It's subtle. And the cinching in. Slight protraction of the shoulder blades. Remember, that's constant. And as you inhale, we're going to come up into a calf raise here. And as you exhale, come back down. And now just breathe. Won't necessarily be on an inhale or an exhale. We're going to lift and lower. There's 3 there. Lifting and lowering. Lift and lower. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Okay, now shift weight to your left foot. Hug your left hip over the left ankle. Come onto the ball of the right foot. So it's just there for a kickstand. And we're going to come up with the left foot and back down. Up and down. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Opposite foot. Right foot plants down. Come onto the ball of the left foot, hug your right hip over the right ankle, and then come up and down, up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Back to center, both feet down. Now we're going to slowly lift, and then we'll quickly lower. So we're going to lift for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. 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 Shift weight into your left foot, please. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Hug your left hip over your left ankle. Slowly lift for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. Right side. Right foot down, ball the left foot. Hug the right hip over the right ankle. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. 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 Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower. All right, last one. We're going to lift quickly and slowly lower. So lift the feet up and slowly lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift slowly. Lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift slowly. Lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Left foot. Come onto the ball of the right foot. Hug the left hip over the left ankle. Lift and slowly lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift, slowly lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift and lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift and lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift and lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last time, last side. Right foot. Hug the right hip over the right ankle, ball of the left foot. Lift, slowly lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift, lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift, lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift, lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. Lift, lower. 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! Move that blanket out of the way. We'll break in with a Vinyasa here. Front of the mat, Uttanasana. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen, flat back, rise. Exhale, step it back. Vinyasa or not, down to the belly. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Eating with the kidneys there. All right, you're either going to come down onto your knees or you're going to hop and land on your shin bones. If you've never done it before, I can give you a demo here. So as I inhale, I'm going to bend my knees and look forward. As I exhale, I'm going to hop and just zip it up as I land on my shin bones there. And I'm going to bring my blanket back into play. And I'm going to use it for underneath my knee. So we're going to go for some Uttanasana reps, camel pose reps. So a lot of people get back bending incorrect in the way that the word is back bend and your spine doesn't bend. It flexes and it extends, but it doesn't bend. Your knees bend, your hips bend, right? Like there's a bend in joints, and which is really a hinge, not a bend. But the spine flexes. So most of the back bend is powered through the legs. Like 90% of the back bend is your legs. The rest of it is my T-spine, my shoulder blades coming together, giving me that nice puffiness in my chest. And then my knees bend just like that. And here's Ustrasana. So it's not that I'm taking my hips and thrusting them forward. It's that my legs are holding this position and my thoracic is holding that position. So I want you to get a feel for what's going on in the legs here, because it's great for the knees when you do it correctly. So we're going again for the feeling of closing your knees. So we're going to cinch in around the waist, root the pubic bone towards your face. I'm going to bring my hands to my hips, and I'm going to slightly protract my shoulder blades just because that helps me use my core a bit more. It's all part of Tadasana. So just slight protraction of the shoulder blades. As I inhale, I'm going to bend my knees, maybe a little or a lot. As I do that, I'm going to try to pick up my heels towards my bum. Pick up your heels towards your bum. And then inhale, come on up. As you exhale, bend the knees a little or a lot. Try to pick up your heels towards your bum, heel to bum, heel to bum. Inhale, come on back up. Exhale, bends the knees a little or a lot. Pick up your feet. Try to glue your heels to your butt. Exhale, come on back up. Switching the breath on you. Inhale, bends the knees a little or a lot. Close the knees. Try to pick up the heels towards the bum. Exhale, push the floor away. Last one. Inhale, bend your knees a little or a lot. Pick up your heels. Try to close your knees. Inhale, come on up. As you exhale, take your knees wide. Child's pose, arms will come forward. Hopefully you feel something in your legs from those last two sequences really strung back to back. It makes a really big difference when you glue your heel to your bum. When you literally try to pick up your feet, it's an impossibility, but it fires off an isometric contraction in the body, and then you're in the business. All right, next time you inhale, we'll come on up and we'll find a downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. If your blanket is still there, we'll move it out of the way. Inhale your right leg up, please. Ekapada, be mindful of your hips and the rotation of your leg. Exhale, knee to chest plank pose. I'm gonna spit my right leg out to the left. I'm gonna wiggle my back leg away from me so that my right hip lowers down onto the ground. And I should have my back leg turned in still. So that's my number one. I want to keep that leg turned in. So I might just stay open towards my left as I make my way towards my mat. It might not happen today. That's okay. My right leg also can come down lower. It doesn't have to be right in line with my hip. And if that's okay, I'm going to think about wrapping my right hip down. I don't know if you could see that, but here I was a bit sickled on my right side. All I'm going to do is take my right hip down towards my feet as I take my right armpit up towards the head of my mat. It's really subtle, looks like that. And through that length, I want to be able to frame my mat and come down onto my forearms. This is broken warrior pose. Full broken warrior, you don't really want to overstay your visit. If you wanted to visit full broken warrior, right arm comes out extended so I can lift my right elbow. I inhale to open up to my left, and as I exhale, I thread the needle underneath my right arm and then let my right arm stay straight. That would be broken warrior. Staying on your forearms is just as good of a twist. We don't have to do this exorcist type of twist to help imbibe for the disc, get them their food. And actually, I think we do a disservice because I'm sure you're firing off some kind of fight or flight when you're in a deep place like that. All right, hands underneath the shoulders. You got two options here. You can come out the same way you came in, or you can follow me where I go. As I exhale, I'm going to push the floor away, protracting my shoulder blades. And I'm going to come forward and sneak in a little ninja push-up. Touch my nose, come back up. Inhale, knee into the chest. Exhale, right leg comes up into three-legged dog. Take an inhale there, wrap that left hip back. And as you exhale, if you'd like, flip your dog. Katkasana, wild thing. I always hear the song Wild Thing every time I do Wild Thing. Every time. Exhale, bringing that back into a downward facing dog. And we'll do that same thing on the opposite side. So left leg floats up, Ekapada. Be mindful of hips and legs. Exhale, knee into the chest, plank pose. I'm going to spit my right leg out to the left. And I'm going to wiggle my right toes back behind me until my left hip touches down. So it's about moving limbs away from you
Same thing happens in chaturanga if you notice your feet kind of scoot back. All right, creating some space here. So think about creating space between the left hip and the left shoulder. And then you'll be able to plant your hands down if you'd like. Right toe still tucked under. My forearms are there for traction, so I can just slightly think about hugging the elbows in towards each other and then back towards the back of the mat. Just that slight traction is going to give you space between the ribs and the pelvis. And it's just a touch, a couple touches above not doing it. It's very sweet. If you wanted to drop into broken warrior, remember, you just straighten your left arm out, inhale your right arm up, and exhale to thread the needle underneath the left arm. If you did it on the other side, if you don't want to feel imbalanced, do it on that side too. Really big shoulder stretch too. Last round of breath there. Trying to lengthen the back, the hips, the legs. And then we'll come up onto the hands. Come out the way you came in, or exhale, push the floor away. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, chaturanga, touch your nose. Inhale, back up. Leg into the chest. Inhale, left leg up. Inhale there. And as you exhale, you're gonna wild thing it. If I have space to wild thing it, you probably don't. Wild thing. And then back up into your downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop. Inhale to lengthen, flat back rise, corkscrewing through the legs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, let's reverse swan dive all the way up. And exhale, hands at the heart. All right, so for this next one, last little bit for knee strengthening, and your homework, your TX for knee strengthening is going to be walking backwards. It's something that you can incorporate really easily into your life. Just look for somewhere where it's safe for you to walk backwards. You're looking while you're walking, right? I'm not just walking backwards with blind faith. I'm looking down at the floor as I'm walking backwards. But it's going to strengthen the whole posterior chain of your leg really quickly. I had a student with knee pain. He came in like every day squealing when he'd come to sit down because his knee wasn't ready to flex that much. And I told him to walk backwards, and his pain was gone within like 4 days, and he complained about it for months. So, you know, don't take it lightly. It only takes 5 minutes. Simple doesn't mean it's easy, because for some reason we still find a reason not to do it. All right, so I'm going to need 2 blocks next to each other. I recommend 2 cork blocks. If you have a foam block that's not going to give, then it should work just fine. We're going to go for what's called elevator squats. And by the way, those squats that we did just now with the bending of the knees, those Uttanasana reps, that's really great for your knees. And what's more fantastic for your knees other than that are Nordic squats. So I would Google that. It's not something that I can teach you right here because you need a door frame, you need a partner or a couch or something, but it's worth the Google if you're really serious about strengthening your knees. It's all about, you know, just looking into different types of strengthening. So what I'm going to do is take my heels onto the block and my balls of my feet onto the floor. My legs are corkscrewing. So my right leg's going counterclockwise, left leg clockwise, cinching in and rooting the pubic bone. If you need a wall, set this up in front of your wall so that when my arms are out straight like this, there's a wall in front of me. So from here, I'm going to bring my arms out, and what I'm looking for is upright torso. Don't come down and start to do this with your torso. Okay, we're going to keep the torso upright. All that's going to change is I'm going to try to touch my heel to my bum to come down. So arms come out, slight protraction of your shoulder blades because it helps you use your core more. And as I inhale, I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to glue my heels towards my bum. And when I can't go any further, I'm going to exhale, nice, slow and controlled, come back up. Keep that slight protraction of the shoulder blades. Inhale, bend the knees. Keep a slight micro bend in the knees. Always don't lock the legs out. Exhale, back up. So I'm corkscrewing. I'm not just pushing. I'm turning through the femurs. Inhale, bends a little or a lot, straight down, trying to touch my heels to my bum. Exhale, back up. Just 2 more if you've got them. Rest if you need to. Inhale, heel to bum.
Trying to kick myself in the butt, slow motion. Exhale, back up. Protraction of the shoulder blades. Last one. Inhale, bends. Stay cinched in around the waist. Shoulder blades relaxed. Exhale, push back up. Woo! Coming off. Shaking out the legs. If you didn't feel that, I promise you're doing it wrong. All right, so let's come to the front of the mat. We'll break it in with a vinyasa here, sun salutation. Hip width apart, inhale, sweep the arms up. Shoulder blades stay relaxed and protracted slightly. Exhale, forward fold. I don't have my bandhas if my shoulders aren't involved. Inhale, lengthen, flat back rise. Exhale, walk, step, or hop. Vinyasa. Inhale into a cobra or an up dog. Exhale into a downward facing dog. Next time you inhale, look forward, and you can hop and land on your shins or just step down one shin at a time. All right, grab your cork block and your teal ball. We're gonna do a mix of myofascial release and shavasana. So you'll be relaxed for this. Everything except your poplates, I guess. So we're going for poplates for the myo and half shavasana here. So here's the back of my knee here. Close up view here. Here's the back of my knee. And here's my calf. Here's poplates. So the ball's gonna be right there. If I go higher, that's the back of my knee right there, but it's just slightly lower than the back of my knee. And the ball's gonna be up on its medium height. Medium height. From here, I'm gonna put my calf or the back of my knee right over the block there. And then I'm gonna take the ball to just below the back of the knee. And then I'm gonna lay back. So for a lot of people, if you ride horses, if your heels are past the balls of your feet, or ride motorcycles, you're really gonna feel this. But also if we have knee stuff going on, we're gonna feel this. So it's a great muscle to hit. You just kind of soften into the tissues around the knee. If you're not used to strengthening your knee, your legs are gonna be tired. If you're not used to closing your knee, that feeling of trying to touch your butt with your heels. It's a very particular feeling, and once you find it, you should celebrate. A huge celebration should take place, because that's an action that for some reason is hard to find. Moving the ball towards the inner knee. So I'm going to turn my right leg bone in all the way so that I get to my inner knee. So the reality is most people are pushing through their foot instead of pulling. And when I push through my foot, all I feel are quadriceps. All I feel are the anterior muscles, anterior chain. So in order to use my posterior chain, I have to activate it, and that's where I want to close my knee. Again, it's a simple cue, but doesn't mean that everyone's going to fire it off. I have heard people say that they didn't feel their hamstrings in those camel pose reps. So you have to cue it a certain way so that they actually use their hamstrings and they're not dominating with their quadriceps. Relaxing the body here. Noticing if you worked up a little layer of sweat, a little healthy layer. Outer knee, moving the ball to the outer knee. Noticing what comes up. And noticing how you feel around the areas of your knees. Any buzzing, any excitement. Noticing the quality of your breath. Center of the knee, where we started. So if we can find a 40% activation mode when we move on the mat, then we're always going to be moving from a base note of rest and digest with a healthy tone of fight or flight. That's really the perfect human. And if I operate outside of that 40%, it's a base note of fight or flight with a down regulation every now and then of rest and digest. That's definitely not the pattern to sanity. We're going to come off of that ball, off of that block. And if you're quadridextrous, like a lot of yogis are, I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to scooch that block over to the left and find a way to put my ball back on the block there. Or you can just roll over to the right, press yourself up and position it. If this is your first time doing myofascial release, it's like, you can't even keep the balls in your hands. They just keep rolling around everywhere. But after a while, you kind of magnetize them to you. Finding just below the back of the knee for poplatees on the opposite side. Noticing how you feel. The quality of your breath. And checking in if you successfully settled that monkey mind. Inner knee. Letting the shoulder blades fall off of the back onto the floor. Soften the muscles of your face. Unclench your jaw. Finding a spot that you can work with, something that's not making you grind your teeth. Outer knee. Noticing which side is tighter than the other. And which one of these 3 points is more sensational than the others. And I'm trying to soften. I'm not trying to tenderize my meat or beat it up with a baseball bat. I'm using the ball as a point to focus my awareness and be able to soften over the surface of that ball. Back to the middle. And coming off, scooching the block and the ball off to the side. Let your soles of the feet come together, your knees come apart for Baddha Konasana. Right hand to the belly, left hand to the heart. Resting there for a couple minutes. Bringing awareness to the quality of your breath. The quality of your heart. The quality of your thoughts. And I'm going to ring a sound bowl here. It's called a wren. And it's from China. No, Japan?
Japan.
That was a silly slip up on my end. About a couple 100 years old that we know of. So just take in the sounds for 30 seconds or so. Connecting to a deep sense of gratitude that you made it to the mat this morning. I pour my gratitude out to you wherever you are for joining me this morning. Connecting that sense of gratitude to the quality of your breath as you begin to breathe gratefully. Taking that breath out through the fingers, down to the toes. And when you're ready, wiggling through those fingers and toes, expressing that gratitude, manifesting it through our actions. Rolling through your ankles and your wrists, articulating through the ankles and the wrists, and stretching through the arms and the legs. Moving in any way that feels good. Rolling over to the right, pressing yourself up, meeting an easy sitting pose, your Sukhasana, whatever that looks like to you this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at on the globe. Softening into an easy sitting pose, gently closing the eyes, feeling the length in the spine and the groundedness in the hips. We'll take an inhalation here together. Exhale the hands down by the sides, palms up. Inhale to float those arms up to the sky. Grab some sunshine and exhale it down to your heart center. Letting the chin fall in towards the chest. A sign of gratitude. May we have openness of hearts
clarity of minds, deeper breaths, and grateful bodies. And from my grateful heart to yours, namaste. Happy Saturday.
Thank you, Leslie. That was so wonderful, as usual.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I'm tired now.
Yeah, he needed that. I've been running a lot. That felt really good.
Ooh, yeah. It's good to balance out that posterior chain for sure.
There's Ruby.
Hey, Ruby. Hey.
Leslie, I just want to compliment you on your cueing. It's very easy to feel what you're going for as soon as
Awesome.
you do it. And yeah, it's very helpful. And I've got some takeaways.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
Music to my ears. Thank you. I'm glad. So, I know what I feel in my body. I'm like, how do I get people to feel this in theirs? And yeah, that's always a tricky part.
Yeah, no, it's instant. It's very good.
Yeah,
You
cool.
also don't have to look at the screen.
Yeah. That's what I like about those cues too. I like to just be where I'm at with my neck in alignment and everything. I don't want to have to look up. And some people don't like that many cues, but that's why I like them, because I don't have to look.
It was lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you liked it.
Thank you. It was great.
You're
see all
welcome,
of you.
Barbara.
Great to see everybody. You take good care.
You too. Good to see you, Shishi.
Thank you, Leslie. It was awesome.
Thanks,
As
Leslie.
always,
Bye,
so
Valerie. Bye,
lucky.
Lee. Bye, guys. Bye, Amber.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Leslie.
welcome.
Have a great weekend.
Have a
Thank
great
you again,
Saturday.
Leslie.
Great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.